If he was just, coming on your show and whinging and moaning, it would annoy people. But I've known him long enough to know that he's kind of...
Have you known him since you were born?
Almost, yeah. I think he went on tour a couple of days after, so I don't count.
I don't remember the first year.
The first year I don't count at all.
I said to him in the interview, I was talking about his acceptance speech in the Hall of Fame in America, which was brilliant and not at all about music or fans, and quite a lot about, if I remember rightly, erectile dysfunction.
Indeed.
And you were saying to me that was it Lenny Kravitz came up to you?
It was a really obscure kind of moment of Lenny Kravitz I'm a huge fan of, and I got to meet him at a show, and the first thing he did was come up to me and just say, your dad's acceptance speech on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was the best thing I've ever seen, and that will stay with me forever. It's brilliant.
I think what shocked them as well is that it wasn't very British, because I think they do view us as being very British, and although they've obviously never watched Monty Python, but they they have, but I think it just seemed out of character, didn't it? And he took them by surprise.
Well, he did, and especially at an award ceremony like that, they definitely aren't used to people kind of telling jokes like that. Yeah. And if you look around, the camera pans around the audience, and you can see people on there, they are actually thinking he's sharing a story about erectile dysfunction.
But also, a lot of them didn't know that he's been doing stand-up comedy for 35 years. So for them, there was this dare I use the word, discombobulated moment when they thought, this is really weird, because we know it's what he does.
No, exactly, yeah. And the Americans were just thinking, this is very awkward.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last time. In terms of Ozzy Osbourne, how is he?
He's good. He's making good progress.
He was unwell, wasn't he?
He's had a really bad year, unfortunately. He's been one thing after another. Basically, has caused the postponement of the British tour, the European tour, the American tour. But everything is back on from May next year. That's given him enough time now to get himself fully up
for this
running.
farewell tour.
Well, it's not really a farewell. It was kind of billed as a farewell originally, but he was quite clear that it wasn't a case of he's stopping. He's basically doesn't want to go and do these 18-month tours anymore. It would be any sort of future tours would be a bit more kind of, just shorter, really, just not.
Has he still got it?
Oh, he commands the kind of audience wherever he is. It is remarkable to see how popular he is everywhere. It's great.
Right, let's have a song, or else we'll run out of time before the travel to even do that. 4th of February.
Oh no, it's 18th of January, I think.
Do you know? It's because it says here 4th of February. And I thought, in my head, I had it as third week in January. So should we just delete all of that?
Yeah.
So 18th of January at the Stables in Wavendon.
That's absolutely right.
Exactly what I was just thinking. Where you can hear Adam and Damian perform live. What are you going to sing for me now?
I'm going to sing a song about my father. I must add, actually, I'm not Adam Wakeman. This is Damian, of course. Just in case any listeners think I'm singing about Rick Wakeman.
Yeah. Does it involve a really bad story? That's what I'm wondering. Right, off you go.
As a small child on the cusp of Christmas Day, I rose from my bed on hearing Santa's sleigh. Following the noise, I hurried down the stairs to see my father. His hands were open there, with an array of lights, glittering assortment of tiny balls, standing in his sight. My father's face, it glowed. Every other saint reaching from a chair, he'd decorate the room, covering all that's there. And as a child I grew to then become a man, offspring at my feet, I'd congratulate my dad on his array of lights, glittering assortment of tiny balls, standing in his sight. My father's face would glow with his array of lights, glittering assortment of tiny balls. Not until that time did Christmas truly show. Then one time he fell and never was the same. Before the year was out, I felt my whole world change. On the way to church, short of midnight, Christmas Eve, the youngest in the car points and says to me, what an array of lights, a glittering assortment of tiny balls, granddads in the sky, showing God where they all go, where there's a ray of lights, a glittering assortment of tiny balls. Standing there that night, I felt my father's glow, where there's a ray of lights, making Christmas show, where there's a ray of lights, he's making Christmas glow.
That was gorgeous. Really gorgeous. But you've only got one song in your entire musical catalogue, so you can't stay until after 2:30. Or could you pull something out as a
Yeah, we pull another one out of the
do
bag.
you reckon you've got another one?
I've got a Brexit song.
We're not doing that this week.
Oh, no politics.
We
no politics.
Definitely can't do politics this week of all the weeks. Stay behind, play me a song after news headlines would be lovely. That's, of course, the brilliant Adam Wakeman and Damian Wilson. You can see them at the Stables in Wavendon on the 18th of January, stables.org for more tickets. And the website is Wakeman...
Wilson and Wakeman... WilsonWakeman.com.
Some combination of their surnames into a domain name .com, WilsonWakeman.com. Yeah, you'll find it. Right, here we go. This is Nick Coffer. Let's get your travel.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks travel.
They were good, weren't they, Claire?
They were absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, roads not looking so beautiful at the moment. The M25 very slow on the clockwise side from junction 24 at Potters Bar towards 25 at Enfield. One lane's been closed because of a breakdown. Despite 3 lanes still being open, it's still looking very, very busy. In Broxbourne, Station Road remains closed for the emergency repairs. That's between Old Nasing Road and Churchfields. Still fairly heavy on the A10 at Cheshunt. That's because of the ongoing works at Church Lane. And on the trains, London North Western services remain suspended between Watford Junction and St Albans Abbey because of a staff shortage. I'm Claire Sharp, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Claire, a lot of love in my studio for your seg there between how beautiful the music was and how not beautiful the roads were. You actually got a round of applause in the studio. We were very, very impressed with it. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
More travel for you just for 3 o'clock.
Across Beds, Hearts and Bucks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Tony Fisher. The serial rapist Joseph McCann, who's from Aylesbury, has been given 33 life sentences and told he'll serve at least 30 years in prison. McCann carried out a string of attacks across England, including one in Watford, over 2 weeks in April and May. Police in New Zealand say they don't expect to find any more survivors from a volcanic eruption that's killed at least 5 people. They say 18 people got away, but a number of others are missing after the eruption at White Island in the Bay of Plenty. A man from Hertford's been charged as part of an investigation into a large-scale importation of Class A drugs into the United Kingdom. Earlier this year, 2 men from Milton Keynes were also both charged with conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. And police are investigating after a fight involving players and spectators at a youth football match near Bedford on Saturday. Officers believe about 20 people were involved in the incident off Harriers Lees in the Wixhams. And the weather for Beds, Herts and Bucks, fine and dry this afternoon with a top temperature of 9 degrees Celsius. Those are the headlines. Next bulletin is at 3.
Nick Coffer.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Rocking around the Christmas tree. Brenda Lee, 25 to 3. How poetic.
Yeah.
Brenda Lee, Christmas tree, 25 to 3.
You've done this before.
And this is me, Nick Coffer. That ruined it, didn't it? On BBC Three Counties Radio. Rob's here from 3 o'clock this afternoon. Then Monday Night Sport from 6. And the non-league. No, that's tomorrow. Monday Night Sport from 6, and then Level 23 from 7. However, tomorrow night at 6 you can hear the non-league football show, just in case you were wondering. Right, chaps, should we sing another song? I've got Adam Wakeman, Damian Wilson in the studio. I feel bad that I keep saying Adam Wakeman, who is Rick Wakeman's son, but I mean, it is
That's
what
right.
it is.
Nice.
Damien Wilson, who's not Rick Wakeman's son.
Well, not that we know of.
My father's unfortunately passed away.
Were your parents musical at all?
My
Right.
dad thought he was.
Right.
This is terrible, though. To say this on air is an awful thing. But he did think he did. He was. But he had shocking timing, shocking tuning.
And couldn't play a musical instrument.
Yeah, and basically I inherited all those qualities.
I thought you were actually
honed
looking
them.
at me when you said, was your dad musical? I was like, he was here last week. Come on, Nick.
No. But we know your dad. Your mum was as well, wasn't she?
No, my mum wasn't musical. No.
Confusing my interviews there.
Do you know, my mum was so funny. When she was so not fussed, my mum and dad divorced many years ago. And she was so not fussed about the whole music industry and the fact that I kind of went on into doing the same thing. I played at Live 8 with Travis, probably the biggest gig I've ever done in my life. I was so thrilled to be on it. And I phoned her up straight afterwards. It was live on TV to billions of people. And I phoned her up and I said, "Did you see it?" And she went, "No, I went to Waitrose instead."
Is that Waitrose in Harrow Weald?
Well, it's down in Devon somewhere. She went, yeah. I just thought, well, it's not going to be very
It was
busy.
your dad that was Harrow, wasn't it? Was he? Yes, so
She just thought, she said, well, it's going to be, everyone's going to be watching the telly. So she took the opportunity and went shopping.
And that was the extent of your moment.
I realised then that my mum is definitely the reason that I stay grounded.
Do you reckon she's listening now?
I doubt it.
Mel in Wales is definitely listening now.
Ah, yes, Mel.
So, hello, Mel. I say this because there was a whole Twitter exchange yesterday with lots of your fans wondering whether they could hear this online, one of whom was Mel in Wales, who if you're listening, it means you found it and you found the right direction. So good.
Big hello to Mel in Wales.
Big hello
That's
to Mel in
fantastic,
Wales.
yeah.
And there was a number of other people who I think may be listening to me for the first time. So hello. Right, you're going to play another song.
We are. You've asked us not to get political.
Yeah, not the Brexit song.
Well, we've done some shows in Germany and the Netherlands, and there was one particular song that seems to have had a political kind of stance to it. But that's
I mean, that it wasn't intentional, was it?
it definitely wasn't.
What was it about it that they felt was political?
Well, this was actually Adam gets really upset when I say this, but lyrically, when we literally wrote this together, kind of just like this, and the words and everything we wrote together. But Adam, I always say that my thought was our friendship with
Right,
Adam.
yeah.
And he doesn't always like me saying that. The first line is, "I'm sorry you're leaving," which I can understand why he might not like that. But the Europeans have seemed to picked up on the fact that they made it a bit of a Brexit song, and I'm sorry we're leaving is the first line of it. Yeah.
Well, it tickled me so much that my drink went down the wrong hole there. So I'm going to pull myself together. You guys sing, and I'll sort myself out while you do it.
So do I sing "I'm sorry you're leaving" or "We're leaving"?
Let's go with we.
Okay.
It's like Bobby Jean. The Springsteen song was all about Stephen Van Zandt leaving the band. But Brexit hadn't happened in 1984, so I don't think that you could blame it. Right, I need to get a sip of water. You go. You fire away, guys.
I'm sorry we're leaving. It's hard for us all. I just want to tell you, at times we smile through life, and do we not go all of the way? Did we laugh through it all? Did we climb over mountains so fearless we fought? Did we seek for adventure? Did we find what we thought? I don't want to lose you. We're friends after all. I just want to tell you the times we smiled through life, and did we not go all of the way? Did we laugh through it all? Did we climb over mountains so fearless we fought? Did we seek for adventure? Did we find what we thought? All the things we never choose to do in life, and all the things we want to do the same. Especially what we need to find for us before we know we seem to lose our way. Put down your anger. Don't rise to it all. Let us be happy. To times we smile through life, and did we not go all of the way? Did we laugh through it all? Did we climb over mountains so fearless we fought? Did we seek for adventure? Did we find what we thought? Did we seek for adventure? It's only what we ever want to do in life. It's only what we ever want to do in life. Seek for adventure.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Really, really brilliant. If you want to find out more, go to wilsonwakeman.com to find out about Adam and Damian's gigs. The Stables is the 18th of January, which is a Saturday. Tickets are very reasonably priced at 15 quid, often higher at the Stables.
Well, we do this purely for the love of the music.
Exactly. So you're in the Jim Marshall Auditorium there on Saturday 18th. Tickets at stables.org or by calling the box office 01908 280800. You're going to see me bring him home before you go home? Can I just say, I just chucked that in because you were Valjean, weren't you?
Yeah.
On the UK tour of Les Mis. That's a massive role, isn't it?
It is. I didn't really know what it was when I got involved because, in fact, I got the job by tripping over a dog along the towpath of the river. So
right. Explain.
It was a pure accident. Well, I was out for a run.
Yeah.
And this big dog tripped me up, and then its owner was an actor from Hollyoaks.
Right.
And he got chatting with me, and from there, basically, he said, "Look, can I get somebody to give you a call?" And he gave me this woman's name who contacted me was who was an agent who put me in front of the Cameron Mackintosh. I mean, I literally went into London
because you've got the look for Valjean, haven't you?
It is all about the look and it is fitting the fitting the image and also the tenor voice type.
The reason I ask is a genuine reason because there you are. You were almost a little bit falsetto. You were quite light there, but Valjean's a big. Where's your training? Because here you are. You've been involved in nearly 100 odd rock projects, and yet you're singing one of the toughest, purest tenor roles in musical theatre. So
the training was tough. It was a tough training.
But were you trained in musical theatre?
No, I was trained in the subways and in the rock bands on tour.
Incredible.
That's where the training was.
Go on, give me a line. Let me just hear it. Just one line.
The thing is, with Bring Him Home, it sounds like a party trick, doesn't it?
Yes.
This Bring Him Home is a song that I sang at my father's funeral. I didn't sing it for 20 years, and there was a tragic accident at Carfest North where a young chap lost his life, and I sang it. That's the first time I sang it for 20 years was there, and then I sang it at my father's funeral. So it's a song that it's a very emotional song, and when I sing it, it tends to connect with people in that way. And so, unfortunately, I'm not very good at the party trick of let's do a version of Bring 'Em Home.
The good news is we've got Adam here as well, so we could do one day more between the three of us.
We could, yes, or hear the people sing, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just get.
I've never seen it. I feel like I should really go and see the production, but
well, they've got a new. It's been reworked. It's just
your friend Alfie
Bowe's doing it. Yeah,
your friend Alfie.
He's your friend Alfie Bowe.
Next year it's going to be Wakeman Bowe. We're being here, the two of us. He'll sing it for you.
He did. He actually did it for me in the studio.
So this was like a competition.
Oh, no. Okay,
hang on
a second. I brushed myself down. Hang on. The funny thing is, Alfie. What I have to say about Alfie's Bring Him Home.
Yeah.
It's very good, isn't it?
Yes, it's very good. Yeah. And who was yours on? Colm Wilkinson as well.
Of course, Colm.
No, you really must see it, Adam, because it's very. It's going to sound really obvious what I'm about to say. It's really musical,
right.
and you would expect that, but it is highly musical. My little Les Miserables story. I don't know if I've told this on the radio before or not, but my dad. Was an indie band manager. This I have said on the radio. So
is that someone we know?
Oh, quite possibly.
Which particular?
He managed bands like the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
But so there was a story about 20 years ago where I was living in France. Sorry, listeners know that I was in France, and he was coming over to visit me in Lille on the Eurostar. I don't know if you remember in the news there was a day when the Eurostar was stopped for 8 hours in snow. Does that ring any bells to you? No.
Sounds like our tours though. Yeah. When we get stuck in the snow in January. That's
so he was stuck on this train. And he got talking to a chap in the bar, goes by the name of Claude Michel Schoenberg. Oh. And Dad's talking to Claude Michel Schoenberg. So you've got the indie band manager, Claude Michel, who's one of the great musical score writers of all time, although the follow-up musical wasn't that good, but we don't need to go into that on what's it called?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Obviously,
it only lasted 3 months.
But then some of the best ones are like that, I think.
So and then Claude Michel Schoenberg said, it's bizarre. I was just down the carriage. Sir George Scholti's there, and Sir George Scholti was one of the great all-time classical music conductors and composers. And so the story goes, the indie band manager, the great conductor and the musical theatre composer then spent 5 hours on a train together talking about their mutual love of music and how it doesn't matter whether it's Mahler or Les Mis or give me a band that begins with M, Manson or Morrissey. Yeah, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing.
It is. I mean, of course, it is. I mean, it has to. I mean, if you love music, it's got to be an eclectic taste, isn't it?
It really does.
It's funny because I Colm Wilkinson, I actually stood in for him when he was in Ireland for his. He did a run for
his homecoming tour.
It was, and the funny thing is, my agent said it's a fantastic opportunity, and I was like, okay, they were kind of paying you less than you would normally get, and it's like, it didn't seem like I didn't know what the fantastic opportunity was, and then they stuck me on stage, and he went off, and they stuck me on stage, and they made the announcement when everyone was sat down, and so no one had the chance to no one knew, and it was like Colm Wilkinson in Les Miserables, and as the announcement went tonight, the role of Valjean will be played by Damian Wilson. Boo! Boo! I tell you, I've never heard boos like it. And the stage manager was, sort of turned round, I think, just to check I was still there. Company manager, stage manager.
This was his homecoming, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you know what? It was fantastic, though. Go On to Boos was the best. But obviously ended with a standing ovation.
My favourite Valjean was another Irishman, Cillian Donnelly, who was in it last year. I don't know if you come across him.
I do. I know. Yes, I know. Yeah,
he's an amazing performer. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Right, that's enough pub talk. You can go home now. So if you want to see Wilson and Wakeman, and as you've heard there, they'll be brilliant. The Stables on the 18th of January, 15 quid for the tickets. Stables.org is the website, box office 01908 280800, and their website is www.wilsonwakeman.com. Did you have to toss a coin on that one?
No, I dictate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of.
On the back it says
If that
like,
was only
Wakeman
true.
Wilson.
But it does sound better, Wilson Wakeman.
Well, that's the only reason.
That was
it's
the
that way
argument.
round.
That's the argument and the correct answer. Lovely to have had you both in the studio. Hope
Thank
you come
you,
back
Nick.
soon.
Thanks to your listeners.
You're always welcome. And especially hello to Mel in Wales, if you're still listening. Have I got that right? Yeah. On your because it's on Twitter. You're on Twitter as
Wakeman Official is mine. Damo, what's yours?
I don't know. Is it Damian Wilson? I don't know.
I was messaging someone at
I'm
Damian
so
Wilson
sorry.
for a long time, and it wasn't you.
Yeah, that's probably true. I am on Twitter. I am somewhere on Twitter. I just got to find my
never
account.
use it. Right, you lot off, you guys. Very nice to have had you in the studio. Wilson Wakeman, really good value. Very, very talented musicians. Just hearing there talking to Damian about, listen, you know, he's got his strings to his bow, but I tell you what, to perform in that touring production of Les Mis, it is a tough and a very, very big role. You've got to have a proper voice to do that. So imagine that pared down over an acoustic guitar, and you're in for a treat at the Stables. You're listening to Nick Coffer.
Every Monday evening from 7 on BBC Three Counties Radio, Level 23.
Genuinely, I